All right, Lindsay. So next step I want to do after kind of finishing that evaluation, I wanted to just talk to you about your pain for a couple of minutes and kind of let you know, kind of educate, do a little bit of education on maybe where your pain may be coming from. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like your pain's been happening kind of for a few years now. Is that right?
Yeah,
Kind of
for
off and
about
on.
for it's been a couple years off and on.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry that you've been having that pain for that long. Normally, pain usually doesn't that last that long, especially if it's coming from something that we don't really know what caused it or what kind of happened. I know you brought in your MRI that shows that you're having some degenerative disease in your spine and in your neck area.
Mhm.
um, but generally, that doesn't cause that much pain for a lot of years. Generally, that's kind of something that's common in a lot of people, especially as we age.
Mhm.
If I take maybe 3 out of 4 people on the street right now and have them take an MRI, their MRI is going to come back very similar to yours. So I think something that may be happening to you is something that we call central sensitization, and it kind of has something to do with your nerves. And I kind of have some images here to kind of give you a little like metaphor. Would that be all right if I kind of share my screen?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here. Are you able to see that?
Yep.
Okay. So right here, we have an image of someone's foot about to step on a nail. Obviously, that doesn't sound very comfortable, right? It sounds like it's going to cause a lot of pain.
Hmm.
Okay. So they go through kind of something that's going to cause some pain. I know you said with your neck that there wasn't one incident that kind of caused it, but it's going on for a few years now. Here it's kind of showing a specific incidence with some tissue damage that's causing that pain where it's going through his foot. It's going to cause some bleeding. In our foot and throughout our whole body are nerves. I'm sure you know about nerves and how they kind of conduct signals from our body and kind of to our spinal cord and up into the brain to kind of give us our thoughts and our behaviors and how we react to things.
Hmm.
And so, normally, kind of like when he's stepping on that nail, we have our normal resting state, kind of where our nerves are usually at. They're just kind of stagnant. They're not really doing anything. And then an incident happens. For him, it was stepping on the nail, and those nerves get excited. They get the signal of, hey, danger, something just happened, something's going on, and they activate. And once they reach a certain level and they get to the brain, and the brain gets so much stimulus from the nerves, it'll send off kind of a danger signal, or that the brain interprets as pain, and it'll send out pain usually out to the spot where the signals came from. Now, so we kind of see that again implemented here, that as he steps on the nail, it goes up, the brain receives that response and processes it as pain. And now sometimes, um, after our wound is healed, most of the time that pain goes back down, the nerves aren't firing anymore, they kind of return back to that normal resting level. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So are you saying that it's kind of like that's coming into my brain? So it's kind of like I'm making it up, kind of like that I should be feeling I should have some damage down there, and it's kind of it's I'm thinking that I'm having pain, but I'm not.
No. So I think all pain is real. It's a physiological process. So what's kind of happening is I talked about that central sensitization. So on the next few slides or pictures, I'm going to show you kind of what I think is happening, where it's very real. This is kind of a continuation of that thing we saw earlier, where the nerves are at the normal level. Something happens to activate the alarm and send those nerve signals to the brain, The brain interprets it as pain and sends that nerve back out to the body. And then after, normally what would occur is kind of what we just talked about, where the pain goes back down to normal levels. There's no pain. The nerves aren't excited anymore. They're not activated anymore. However, in some cases, the nerves can become kind of excited. They can become very sensitive. And so they don't return back to the normal level, but they're kind of functioning up here. And so now, instead of maybe like that much stimulus, needing that much stimulus to send dangerous signals to the brain and for the brain to interpret a pain response, the nerves only need to be stimulated that much for a pain response. So all the pain that you're feeling is totally real. I think the problem is less so with the MRI and the disc in your neck, and kind of maybe a little bit more with the nerves and how they've kind of become very sensitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And I can't say for sure what caused it or what caused those nerves to become sensitive. It can be a bunch of different things, from kind of a traumatic experience, if someone was in a car accident, for example, or it can be a lot of different things kind of displayed in this image, with things like if someone's having chronic pain, so pain that's lasting for a long time, and then it can happen a lot with a lot of stress in life. So like if someone's having a lot of fear or anxiety or marriage problems, job stresses, or kind of like you were telling me with your grandma and the stuff that's going on kind of in your life lately. You were saying that you've had a lot of stress and a lot of things going on, and how those symptoms kind of get worse when you're having a bad day or kind of being stressed out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think the pain is real in your neck. Those nerves in your neck are super sensitive. And so what they're doing is they're responding to usually what we would think is normal motion, kind of like the moving around your neck or the light touching on your neck. And the nerves, because they're so sensitive, are interpreting that as something that's way more extreme, and thinking and sending to the brain that it should respond with a pain signal. And so there are some things we can do to try to help those nerves calm back down. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. That's kind of the end there. But there are some things that we can do to kind of help the nerves calm back down and kind of get back to those normal levels where you won't have that pain response anymore with the small things like moving your neck around or the light touching. And so if it's okay with you, the next thing I kind of want to do is, in our step process, kind of give some of those techniques a try, see if any of them will work to try to decrease that pain and help that not to happen anymore. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, awesome. Let's get started then. And wrong button.